We've all had moments where we walked away from a conversation and thought, did I sound smart enough? Did I say the wrong thing? Did I disappoint them? That lingering feeling that you didn't impress someone, it haunts you. And when guilt and shame creep in afterward, it becomes more than just a thought. It turns into emotional self-sabotage. But what if I told you that the need to impress people is not a reflection of who you are? It's a symptom of something deeper? Before we dive in, if you're on a journey of self-discovery, healing, and mindset growth, hit subscribe. Direction Within is your safe space for evolving into your truest self. Let's talk about why so many of us carry this heavy burden of needing to impress others. At its core, this feeling stems from a deep craving for validation. Not because we're shallow, but because we've been trained to equate being liked with being safe. As children, we learned quickly, be good, get praised, mess up, get punished or ignored. Over time, your brain started associating approval with survival. This is especially true if you grew up in environments where love was conditional, based on performance, appearance, or achievement. So now, even as an adult, you find yourself subtly performing, making sure people smile, nod, or say wow after you speak. And when they don't, you don't just feel awkward, you feel guilt, even shame, like you failed some invisible test. This is how the need to impress becomes a hidden prison. And the worst part? You might not even realize it's ruling your decisions, from how you dress, to how you speak, even to what you dream about doing with your life. But here's the truth. Trying to impress everyone is a full-time job with no pay, no purpose, and no peace. In the next section, we'll look at how guilt and shame feed this cycle, and why most of it was never yours to carry in the first place. Have you ever found yourself overthinking a conversation days later, replaying it in your mind like a broken record? Maybe you didn't get the reaction you expected. Maybe someone didn't smile back. Maybe they just looked unimpressed. Suddenly, you're apologizing, not always with words, but with your energy. You shrink. You second-guess. You feel guilty for simply being yourself. This is the emotional trap, a cycle where guilt and shame keep you chasing approval to avoid feeling like you did something wrong. But here's the thing. Guilt is supposed to be a signal that we violated a moral code. Yet in this trap, we feel guilty not for doing something wrong, but for not being impressive enough. That's not guilt. That's emotional conditioning. And shame? Shame tells you you're not enough. That voice is not yours. It was planted. Maybe by an overly critical parent, a judgmental teacher, a toxic boss, or even society's constant highlight reels. Shame is sticky. It doesn't just whisper, "You messed up." It screams, "You are a mess." And that's where the damage is deepest, when we start confusing our self-worth with how others perceive us. So what do? We start performing, overthinking our tone, over-explaining ourselves, over-apologizing for taking up space. But the more we apologize for existing, the more we disconnect from who we are. And that gap between your true self and your performed self, that's where anxiety, burnout, and loneliness breed. Here's the truth most people never tell you. You're allowed to disappoint someone and still be a good person. You're allowed to show up without dazzling anyone. You're allowed to exist without a standing ovation. Your value isn't found in someone else's expression. It lives in how deeply you know and honor your own. Next, we'll explore how this trap was built and how society, culture, and upbringing subtly trained us to live in fear of not being impressive. Let's break that down. From the moment we're born, we're bombarded with messages about who we should be. TV shows, social media, school systems, even the people who love us, unintentionally push a script that says, to be accepted, you must impress. To be worthy, you must achieve. To be lovable, you must be likable. Think about it. How early were you told to make people proud? How often did you hear, "What will people think?" These aren't just words. They are seeds. And if you're not conscious, they grow into a mindset that constantly seeks external approval to feel internally okay. Social media has amplified this tenfold. Now, it's not just about impressing your teacher or your parents, it's about impressing thousands of strangers online. Perfect lighting, perfect captions, perfect life. And yet, inside, many are silently crumbling. This is the lie we've been sold, that your worth depends on how others rate your performance. So we hustle for likes, chase degrees we don't care about, say yes when we mean no, and keep performing on a stage we never signed up for. And then comes the inevitable crash. You burn out, you feel empty, and you don't even know who you are anymore when no one's watching. But here's something you need to hear. You were not born to impress, you were born to express. When you align your actions with your authentic values, your self-esteem doesn't rise and fall with the applause. You become rooted, like a tree, still, steady, and grounded, whether the wind praises you or not. In the next part, we'll dive deep into how embracing vulnerability and authenticity helps you break this toxic cycle and rebuild confidence from the inside out. We're often told that strength looks like perfection, that being put together means having no cracks in the armor. But that belief is a trap, because the truth is, vulnerability isn't weakness, it's courage in raw form. It's the strength to say, I don't know, but I'm learning. I'm struggling, but I'm showing up anyway. I'm not here to impress, I'm here to connect. When you embrace vulnerability, you stop performing and start connecting. And connection is what we're all starving for. Not more curated versions of each other, but realness. Let's get honest. Have you ever admired someone more when they shared their truth? Their awkwardness, their fears, their failures? That's not by accident, because vulnerability breaks walls. It gives other people permission to breathe, to feel seen, to be human. Now, this doesn't mean you pour your heart out to everyone. It means that you live aligned, with less filtering, less pretending, and more truth. Authenticity doesn't mean you always have the answers. It means you're honest about where you are, and you're not hiding it behind a mask just to keep others comfortable. The moment you drop the mask, something incredible happens. You realize that you were never unworthy. You were just unseen. And now, you begin to see yourself clearly, not as someone who constantly needs to prove, but as someone who has nothing to hide. Authenticity heals imposter syndrome at the root, because you're no longer trying to play a role, you're living your truth. Next, we'll explore how to actually practice this, what it looks like to build small habits of authenticity in daily life, and how to protect your energy while doing it. Now that we've uncovered the power of authenticity, let's bring it down to earth. How do you practice it every day, especially when the world still expects performance? Here are 5 grounded habits that help you live more aligned and stop chasing unnecessary approval. 1. Start with micro-honesty. Before you aim to be radically vulnerable, start with small truths. Say no when you mean no. Admit, I don't know, without shame. Be honest about your preferences, even in small things like food, music, or how you spend your time. These micro moments build self-trust. You're telling yourself, I hear you, you matter. 2. Journal. What's real, not what's perfect. Instead of writing how you should feel, write how you actually feel. Use questions like, what am I pretending not to notice today? Where did I betray myself to please someone else? This isn't to shame you, it's to bring self-awareness. Clarity is the first step toward confidence. 3. Practice truth pauses in conversations. Sometimes we default to agreement or flattery just to keep the peace. But try inserting a short pause, a moment to reflect before you speak. Ask yourself, am I saying this to connect or to impress? This builds a life that feels lighter because it's real. 4. Choose spaces that welcome the real you. You can't thrive in rooms that reward your mask and ignore your truth. It's okay to outgrow environments that no longer fit the version of you you're becoming. You deserve spaces that reflect your growth, not your people-pleasing past. 5. Celebrate progress, not performance. Make a habit of reflecting weekly. Did I stay true to myself, even if it felt uncomfortable? Did I speak up when I normally would have stayed silent? These are wins. No applause necessary, just inner alignment. Authenticity isn't loud, it's not performative. It's subtle, quiet, and consistent. And here's the thing. The more you practice it, the more your self-esteem becomes rooted, not reactive. In our final part, we'll explore what it means to reclaim your worth and how to rewrite the inner narrative that's been whispering, "You're not enough." Here's the truth most people never get told. You were never meant to earn your worth, only to realize it. But somewhere along the line, your brain was wired to believe that worth must be proven through success, through applause, through someone else's approval. That lie becomes the inner critic, and that critic becomes the voice you live by, unless you rewrite it. So how do you begin that rewriting? 1. Recognize the script isn't yours. That voice telling you you're not good enough? It wasn't born inside you. It was given to you by culture, school, broken family systems, or painful relationships. Recognizing this is powerful, because if it was learned, it can be unlearned. 2. Create a new internal language. Stop asking, "Did I impress them?" Start asking, "Did I stay true to myself?" Replace, "I'm not enough" with, "I'm growing." They didn't respond with, "Their reaction doesn't define me." I failed with, "I learned." This isn't toxic positivity, it's conscious rewiring. 3. Anchor your worth in being, not doing. You're not valuable because of what you do. You're valuable because you exist. Even on your worst day, even when you mess up, even when no one notices. Start giving yourself the grace you've been waiting for from others. 4. Track inner wins, not just outer ones. Begin a weekly check-in where you reflect on moments you honored your truth, times you were kind to yourself, boundaries you upheld. These count more than metrics. They shape your identity. 5. Surround yourself with reflections of truth. Curate your space, your feed, and your friendships with people and messages that affirm who you're becoming. The voices you hear daily become the script your mind follows. Be intentional. Remember, you don't need to impress to matter. You don't need to chase visibility to be valid. Your story, your presence, your journey, it's enough. By embracing vulnerability, building daily authenticity, and rewriting your inner script, you don't just overcome imposter syndrome, you dissolve it. Because the real you, raw, imperfect, and honest, was always worthy of taking up space. So go ahead, take your space. You've earned it by simply being real.